Good to have you. What is it? 232, episode 232. We've been hanging out for many moons, and we're always in search of awesome and latest, greatest awesome sauce. And tonight is no different. I met just a great soul a few weeks ago. We've been kind of following on each other on our news feeds on Instagram. Miss Thatch Fortis, and she is, if you her handle on Instagram is Exo Stylist Exo. She is, I consider her Pulp Riot. Wait till you hear her story. It's extraordinary. She is not only an Instagrammer, but if you see the communities that she has built over the years, they're well into six-figure. She is a hair Jedi. When you see her work, it's off the freaking charts. And I would consider her, a salon leader and innovator on steroids. She's on fire, it's like nitroglycerin on a bonfire, for goodness sake. So it's going to be an interesting conversation. She founded XO Hair Lab Salon and Day Spa in Chesapeake, Virginia. And her first complete year was last year. And in her first year, $1 million. Those of you that are in the Summit Salon community know that's a big deal. She didn't inherit anything. She just turned the key. So she's on a roll. Average ticket in the salon is $250. So they are very much into getting clients to get way more involved than a basic service. Her personal average ticket's $275. And when you look at where the salon's at with a haircut, I mean, do the math on that, you guys. That's like an average ticket that's 5 times a base price of a haircut. I think I'm going to have to call up Guinness Book of World Records tonight. I think that's a record, but I'll check on it. Look at salon referrals at 30%, salon nude running at 40%. So you can see there's a stream. Her brand precedes any one or two individuals in her salon company. So whatever it is that she's doing, I want, this is why I wanted here tonight. So she's blowing some of my benchmarks off the charts. The salon's RTS, 48%. I mean, this is like, golden. Salon total guest count is 4,851. And right now she's rebooking at 40%. So she's going to tell you her story. So I want to be very mindful to not take anything out of it, but her timeline, see for yourself. High school 06, hair school 11, goes into business for herself in 14, and then turns the key on her salon company in 2019, and the rest is history. If you are not following her yet on Instagram, she has 3 communities. I would strongly recommend it. Exo Stylist is her handle on Instagram, as well as her salon's handle is Exo Hair Lab. And then I'll ask her about this, Authentic.Hair Army. I mean, when you really look at the size of that community, 370 for Hair Army. Hers is 207,000, and her salon is 13,000. You can see that the overwhelming majority of her new business and referrals are coming from what she's doing on social. So this is it's a beautiful thing how that works. Okay, so she's in my green room. I'm going to go and get her, and we'll get her chatting about her story a little bit, and then I'm going to ask her, what are you doing to hit those kinds of metrics, because that's some really extraordinary stuff. So let's keep your fingers crossed. We always got to keep our fingers crossed that the Wi-Fi gods are being nice to us, and it looks like they're going to be nice to us. She's here, and you're going to make her feel very welcome. Ash, good to have you.
Thank you so much. I feel like I've had the best, warmest welcome ever. So hello, everyone. It's nice Michael has you guys on a lot of first name basis and a lot of relationships. So thank you guys for giving me your time as well.
And I know that you've had a full day, because we were kind of in and out of clients, keeping in touch, texting, and so thank you. I know it's 8 o'clock after 8 there after a long day. So thanks for giving us a few minutes of your life.
Absolutely.
Well, when we have people on, we always like to start with the story, because there's something about the story that brings us humanity and makes it real. It brings in vision, inspiration, hope, and your story is nothing short of profound. So get us started. Who are you, and how did you get to this place?
So my name is Ash. I'm 33 years old. I'm a mother. I have 2 children, a husband, and lots of animals, small zoo. And I'm a salon mama. So I started hair school in 2010, graduated in 2011. I graduated with honors. I did their phase 2 program, which was wonderful for me. It gave me goals to set. I had more one-on-one attention. I also was able to be on the salon floor more, which drove my passion. So kind of helped me to get more prepared for graduation. At the time, Facebook was around. Instagram wasn't really where it is now. It wasn't something I was utilizing for marketing in any way. Like, I definitely was sharing my dinner plates and my family and just like, I'm going out to this park. It wasn't really something that I was utilizing very much. But I was in the habit of taking lots of pictures because when I graduated hair school, I thought it was important to have a portfolio. And I also loved what I was doing. So it was hard for me to see them walk out of the salon door and be like, oh, I'm never going to see that again. And like, I won't get to like really describe it well enough to my friends and family about like how proud I was. So it kind of felt like an art piece that you sent out and we're like, I'll never get to see it again. So I had a really good attention to taking photos because I knew it'd be important to building my career. So I graduated, I applied at a couple different salons. I ended up deciding to go with a salon that I ended up leaving the interview crying because I'm like, this is going to be really intense. And they don't mess around. And they were a very upscale, high-end salon. It was a hard decision because I had another salon that kind of, it seemed like it would be easier and I could probably go in and be fine. And maybe I'd have a little bit more freedom. But I had this big intuition that I should probably go with the harder route and be around people that could mentor me and really round me out professionally. And what stood out to me about this salon, my first salon, was they had a really big dedication to education. So they had an apprentice program where, you know, even if you were licensed, you would essentially move up the rankings by being an apprentice and learning from the ground up. And I contribute a lot of my success to that foundation because I definitely left most days crying privately. But in hindsight, if I had not had that experience, I would not be close to the person I am today. And I felt like they really invested in me educationally. I think professionally, I always had great respect for them and my mentor. So I moved on from there after about 2 years into a smaller commission salon, and it was quite the opposite. It was a better move financially, but it was a worse move leadership-wise. I had like been able to gain the experience of like what poor leadership was and what maybe really didn't align with like what I liked about my last salon. So I didn't stay there very long. I ended up leaving there and then going into booth renting. And that was kind of shocking for me as well, because I was 2 years into building a book. And even though I was doing really well at this point, like Facebook and moderately Instagram, I still didn't know what I was doing, booth renting. I just had a bad situation with that second salon. And ironically, they fired me for having rainbow hair at a time where like rainbow hair wasn't cool. And I quote you that this woman's like, we don't want that type of clientele, and like had all these like oppositions. And I was like, I really don't want to work anywhere that would, limit my creative abilities. So I'm going to be my own boss. Jumped into that, learned a lot, learned that you can be a great stylist, but being a business is a totally separate entity. But I maximized and turned up my strengths, which were my skills and my personality and my marketing. And it did really well for me. I started building really fast. Instagram had become an evolution more so. I had my daughter. That was a huge motivator.
Yes.
And my career took off about 2 months after my daughter was born. I was joining into an app called Periscope, which isn't really around anymore, but it was the first live broadcasting app. And I didn't have an agenda with it. I didn't have goals necessarily. I just really loved connecting with people, and I loved education. Like I call it over enthusiastic penguin syndrome. And this is like a whole Sesame Street thing, but I was that eager stylist, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And do you want to know what I'm doing? And I had all this passion that I didn't know what to do with it. And being able to be my own boss just allowed me to express myself and be able to do so independently and grow independently like that. And I got to share it on this app. And on this app, a lot of other hairstylists started joining it, and they started sharing themselves. And we all just started, sharing what we were doing behind the chair that was working for us, or what was making these Pinterest photos what they were. I met some really amazing people. David Thurston and Alexis Thurston would jump on. Those are the founders of Pulp Riot before Pulp Riot was Pulp Riot. And they were just salon owners of Butterfly Loft Salon. So they would join in, and we would just build relationships, really. And I would go on there and I would share things with hair or my clients or pricing or anything and everything. After that, everything took off. Social media just like that took a big switch. And we started all realizing that it was a very valuable tool to not only put your work out there, but you could start getting into hashtagging and identifying how to actually algorithmically like build your community and how to get that community to actually be buyers for you. So whether it's investing in who you are, or it's investing in the fact that they want to come and have their hair done by you, I started noticing all my income increasing, my exposure increased, obviously. And it was a pivotal moment because that's where I got invited into Butterfly Circus, which was the first organic independent educator group that would come together. And it wasn't really about brand or what brand you used. Pulp Riot wasn't even built at this point. And it was just a half an hour for each artist, which kept everyone's attention. Like, you weren't bored. It was a show. It was an experience. And we all got to build a community within Butterfly Circus. And we all got to just share ourselves a little bit more. And then, of course, through that, I got to help co-create Pulp Riot from the ground up. So before Pulp Riot had a name, a direction, their first product, and I've been along that ride ever since.
So you were way back when, in an era where all of this today, which is like critical mass, was a glimmer in people's eyes. And so, I'm just kind of getting goosebumps as I'm listening to you, because I can tell just by listening that evolution, that learning, that realization was organic. It just, you suited up, you showed up, you were intuitive with each other, you formed a community online, and then right place at the right time, it blows up, and here we are.
Absolutely.
So it's been a heck of a ride. What you were mentioning these little pivots that really kind of changed the trajectory. And now you're a salon owner. You and I were chatting about that about a month ago. Pulp Riot is now owned by L'Oreal. It's one of in their brand family. And you've now entered the next era of your life. What's that like today for you in real time?
Yeah, busy. So busy. A little disorienting some days. But it's to me, it's like a euphoria you couldn't have any other way. Like it's a personal happiness and joy and accomplishment. I think I have absolutely been able to learn a lot about myself and a lot about others through all the different experiences. Being on Pulp Riot from the ground up, I got to not only like be a team member, but I also got to learn a lot about myself and like, how do I work and operate in teams? What are better ways I can be a better teammate? What does it take to have leadership in different roles? Because, I wanted to become an educator, but I never knew what being a public figure entailed. And I never really had a desire to become a public figure per se. But once I became one, it's like, I feel like Spider-Man's quote, like, it comes with great responsibility. So I started to realize that I did have a greater responsibility, like not only to myself for my own goals and accomplishments, but to the community I was building. Because, everyone I would come in contact with would be like, oh my God, Ash Fortis, and I want to be you, and I want to do what you're doing. And at one point it felt like a lot of pressure, and it definitely became a little bit overwhelming, especially initially building out my businesses, because kind of just had a little bit too much humbleness where I'm like, well, yeah, just work hard and you'll be there. And, you know, you can hit your goals as well. I really figured out that I love helping others succeed. I feel really passionate about what this career has been able to do for me. I am the single financial provider for my entire family. And I, you know, had a really hard upbringing growing up. And, you know, I've had to depend on myself, and I've had like series of unfortunate events to where I come in contact with a lot of those people. We have those clients in our chair where it's like, it's just more than hair. It's a personal relationship that I want to maintain for years to come. So I get so much joy, even though it's a lot of work, seeing other people have the same accomplishments that I've been fortunate enough to have in their own ways, in their own journeys. So I've taken myself a little bit more out of that spotlight, if you will, the last 2 years. I used to be on the road all the time and traveling, and still maintaining my work behind the chair while managing. I wrote a book. I'm with Pulp Riot. I'm traveling and teaching. And I realized that it started to make me dislike some of the different things I was doing, because it was just, I had an empty plate and then it got all filled up. And then I'm like, oh, I'm not this hungry. This is a lot. So I had to stop putting so much on my plate and trying to like just be so spread out. And I've gotten more focused in on my salon, honestly. Once I built my salon, I knew it was a big investment that I had made. I'm forever grateful for Pulp Riot and L'Oreal and being able to do it the way I was able to. And so I try to essentially recreate those goals for other people. I want them to take the experience I've had and be able to modify it for them, but also like take all the troubleshooting I've done to make it easier. So, you know, having higher tickets, building skills to be stronger. Our team culture is super important to me. I take it a little bit further than just like culture. It's about teamwork and always going the extra mile. And even if you're about to leave and clock out, if somebody's still working on a blow dry at clock out, like you're going to jump into that blow dry and you're going to help them too, because that's teamwork. So I've been a lot more focused on leadership mindsets and really trying to inspire and motivate people to be able to take on those mindsets so that they can have success no matter what route they're going or what place they are at, what time they're at. So yeah, I think for me right now, it's just focusing on making sure that the systems in my salon, obviously, especially during COVID, are perfect, that everyone feels good, because if everyone feels good, they work better together. Building more of a community so that as a salon owner, I feel like I can open up to other salon owners and I can gain the same experience and knowledge that we're all looking for, you know, be able to share like what is working for me, what didn't work for me, because it's all the same problems and troubleshooting that we all experience. But I think there's sometimes there is a lot of vulnerability with sharing your numbers or sharing like what systems you have in place, or, you know, having that time in your life when you're like, oh, that didn't really work and I don't know why, and I don't know what to do going forward. So I'm just really focused on the salon and just maintaining what I've built over the last couple of years and just steadily growing with that.
Yeah. As I listen to your speak, you know, the language is the fingerprints of consciousness. So I can tell that in your consciousness, I hear words like culture, leadership, team, innovation, collaboration. So in your ride, that was kind of forged in you, and now you're saying I have my company, my salon company, and I want to be focused on that. I want to, see how far I can do that, which is different than living on airplanes and hotel rooms and out on platforms. So kudos for you. What's next for you? What as you look out in the next year or so, what's in it?
I think for me, what I like for the next year and my focus would be to be more involved with the community of hairdressers. So I do a lot of hair and I put out a lot of hair, and I love that. It's my art form. It's super easy to just get involved in that. I think when we're all struggling, that's something you can pick up and it's really nice. I think that I'd love to be more in motivational speaking with other salon owners and with younger generations, and kind of just talking about more of the topics and the hard to discuss things like constructive criticism. Like everyone thinks that they can take constructive criticism, but really understanding why and where it's coming from. I'd like to be able to share my experience of being a booth renter and what that business model looked like compared to being a suite owner, what that model looked like, and then moving into a bigger salon. Because, you know, building out business plans, they're all different models. And right now in the industry, it is all about the highlight reel. Everybody just shows you what they have, and it's very little how they got there or what contributed to it. And it's definitely not showing the highlight of the failure reel. I'm more open with being vulnerable in that sense, because I think failure has been one of my best teachers. You know, my staff here, it's something we say, and, you know, it's something that really has been good for us in here, because we have learned from our failures. We don't consider them like failures and let them hold us back, but we look at things as like, you know, smooth seas don't make a skilled sailor. So we want to be challenged. We enjoy being challenged. I want to be able to see my team grow. I want to see their numbers grow. I want to be able to like have that same confidence, like with my leadership. So when I'm not here, it's like, they don't even have to call Salon Mama. Like they've got it all taken care of. And I just like to be out more involved with the community at like hair shows and things like that. Instead of being on stages all the time and just doing hair, I'd like to be a part of those conversations and around other mentors and other communities of people that I can learn and grow from, and I can contribute some of that level of perspective and some of that, you know, being an artist, you understand their struggles, you know, being a salon owner, being able to share to other stylists, what do salon owners go through? How can we, you know, build closer relationships between salon owners and stylists? How can we build better team between stylist and stylist in all relationships? I think relationships are big, and it's a big passion of mine. So I'd like to see myself working in more realms that help, especially I think younger generations, because I don't think we have a lot of younger focused leadership.
Yeah. Well, before we go, I want to pivot to a little bit about what you're doing in a second, but there's a lot of people watching tonight. There's going to be a whole lot more people watching the recording of this, and they're listening, they're relating, they're identifying, but as they kind of look at you, you're in a place that they're not yet, and they're in a place that you were. And what might you say to them that would raise the probability that they would, I call it, take their shot?
Yeah. I think education has always been, for me, like number one. Like you could add so many things in, but having the mindset of always being a student, I think removes a lot of ego that sometimes being in this industry can build for us, because it's very gratifying to like, oh my God, I love my hair, it feels so good. Like it gives us that same give back. So I feel like having people stay on top of education, you know, for my salon, it's not just, our education system isn't just for our apprentices and entry level. All of our stylists participate in education. And yeah, sometimes they drag their feet, and sometimes they get angry at me, and sometimes they feel a little overtired. But one thing that I phrase a lot is, you gotta love practice as much as you love the game. Because it shows the commitment, it shows the grit over the glamour. And to me, it's the commitment of like putting yourself in a student position. You know, in our salon, it's a lot of collaboration. When you come in, our clients feel so happy because everyone's moving around like, oh my God, what are you working on? That's so beautiful. Like, but it's genuine. It's not like you're just hyping it up because like, oh, we want them to feel good about it. It's a natural behavior in here. So it's not like when you enter another stylist space, which I've found in other salons, where they're like, I got this, like, get out of my way. Or like, I'm talking to my client, like, why are you invading our space? We're all the stylists for our clients. We're all collaborating together. We all don't put each other above each other. We all are conscious of the way that we communicate and saying like, oh, like, that's awesome. Like, what formula did you decide? And why did you decide that? It's just pure educational.
Wow.
And I think within that, you have to study lots of things. Like, it's about the quality of the hair. It's about understanding your business and educating yourself fully. It's about asking questions that are scary to ask, and you might feel a little like vulnerable asking, and surrounding yourself with mentors and people that are more educated than you are. I know we all have heard like you are who you surround yourself with, and I definitely believe that. I know, Michael, you post a lot of like blunt truth, honesty about it. And I know that's why myself and my stylist connect with you so much, is because you're not tiptoeing around it. You're on the line. You're like, this is how it is. Sorry, love ya. No hard feelings, but this is the reality. And I like that, because I think that solves problems. So I feel like marketing is everything. I think being creative with your marketing, not just copying and pasting what somebody else is doing, it has to be genuine. It has to have great consistency, because no post is ever going to like generate like, oh, everything's all like, now I'm a made person. I will say it contributes. Me and my husband were watching a video the other day, and this video went viral. And some of you guys might have seen it, but it was a suite owner was in her suite, and she had a client, and the client, she had to have her assistant finish out the service. And the client was like, an older woman was like, absolutely not. Like, I'm paying you, you're going to do my service. So the stylist was like quasi-professional. I think she could have done a little bit better, but I'm not the judge. But she basically was like, no, this is my assistant. Like, she's fine to do your hair. Well, the client acted like she was going to hit this stylist. My whole point of bringing it up is that stylist, my husband and I watched her every time we refreshed her Instagram page, thousands of followers. She went from 8,000 followers to almost 100,000 followers off of that one video. Wow. Now, that to me is like a one-hit wonder. What else is going to come from that? What are you going to really generate with that? So I just bring that into relation, because yes, you could post something. Like for me, I created trends like hologram hair and hair marbling and light sourcing. So I kept kind of trying to stay on trends. But it's interesting. 4 years later, nobody will remember like, oh, you came up with hologram hair. It's just like, oh, it's hologram hair. And so, in saying that, I think consistency is what's going to be the long man's race, and it's endurance, and it's having endurance for that. And in order to do that, you have to be highly authentic. So you have to have a passion for doing it. If you don't have a passion for marketing, you hire somebody that does. Hire somebody that's young, creative, enjoys going around to clients and opening them up for photos and videos, getting your team to be open to doing the same thing. Being mindful of what times are you posting, like the actual analytics of like making sure you got the juice for your squeeze. It takes a lot of consistency, and it takes not getting wrapped up in like, oh, it didn't get all these likes. If it's something you enjoyed, it's something that represents you, it doesn't have to get all the likes, because it will generate into a client being in your chair. So if you like blonding, post blonding. If you like creative color, post creative color, take models. I can't tell you how much free hair I did in the creative color realm to build that arena for myself. And now I get to charge $500, $600, $700 for those creative color clients that I spend 6, 7, 8 hours on. So it took a lot. I wasn't able to always charge my worth or value my worth at the beginning, but I knew that was a currency I was investing in myself in order to get to the next place. So I believe marketing is the key. Yeah. Creative marketing is more key, because that's taking something and you're doing more. I even tell my team, like, you have to get creative with your post. Don't just be like, oh, here's a brunette. Like, call it something unique, or share the details of what you did or how you did it. Videos grab a lot of attention. So just understanding what really works and then what works for you and staying consistent with it would be the biggest secret sauce. And don't get caught up in being a beginner, because everybody feels like a fraud, or like you'll hear imposter syndrome. And I remember when I started putting myself out there, I had people that would be in the back room of where I worked and be like, well, what right does she have doing that? When I started doing independent education, charging $50 a ticket, well, who does she think she is? Because back then it was, you worked with a brand and you like 10 years, and then maybe you can be a platform artist. And I was like, well, my first class sold out with 60 people, $50 a pop. Like, that tells me I have a right. So I had to have enough confidence and enough desire to push past all that negative, which was not easy for me. I still have a hard time. But to tell myself, like, my goal is to be an educator. I don't care about the fame. I don't care about what it would do. The simple form of, I love to teach. I love to be around other teachers. I love to be around that arena. Let me have enough courage to do it. And you don't have to be, and we never are. We're never excellent at what we do. We're always students. And that's where the student mindset always comes back to me, because it allows you to drop the ego. And I say this to my team sometimes, because they comparison, and they want to do what I'm doing. And I'm like, you're not me. And you could do hair like similarly, but we're different people, and you have great value and I have a great value. You have to be okay with being a nobody, because if you're okay with that, then being a somebody, it won't go to your head. You'll be able to, keep it focused in on the client experience, which all of us can reel it back for ourselves, I think, from time to time. So
Yeah.
I think just having those mindsets, you know, engulfing yourself in ways that will help encourage those ideas are super helpful.
Well, as I'm listening to you talk, you know, that saying, I hear what you say, but then I watch what you do. And I was just, I was on your Instagram page. I was looking at the work, you know, the content on your grids, that, you know, your highlights, and you really, really are, you don't repurpose work. Like, you're a creator, you're an innovator, you're always pushing the envelope. And as I look at some of the work, it's like, oh my God, like, how did she do that? I want to watch how she pulled that off. And you really can't go and copy that. It comes from within. You know, you do you're doing the deal, you're engaging in the rigor, and then something new, innovative comes out, and it's your brand. So kudos to you. You know, I think the last time I talked to you, I said, you know, you're the unicorn. What, you know, and you hear that all the time, and yet I say, well, yeah, but take a closer look. It's not as magical. It's hard work. It's devotion. It's not like, well, you know, she just like wired and it's in her, you know, the cloth that she's cut. Well, yeah, but the whole truth is she works her ass off.
Very self-made. Like I remember a long time ago when it became my boss, I remember like all the shininess. So again, perspective is everything because I'm on that other side of the coin. And I was like, oh, I get to pick my schedule, my days. This is wonderful. I'm like, oh, you don't want a 9 to 5? Welcome to your 24/7. And that is, it's one of the biggest things is describing to people. It's almost indescribable to explain how many hours go in because I do the social media for my team. I am reposting their things. I'm grabbing content for myself. And it's hard because I have had to sacrifice my own personal goals and aspiration. And I hate to use like limelight, but yes, in that way. And it's hard once you get taken to that place because a lot of people, when you've reached a certain part of success, you don't want to go down. You're like, I got to keep going up. I got to keep going up. And that's dangerous as well. There's a good book, and I recommend this to a lot of creatives or a lot of people who are struggling with that in a sense. So it's the author from Eat, Pray, Love. And it was after she wrote that, you know, all of her author friends are like, oh my God, like, what if you never write another bestseller? Like, how are you ever going to top this? And it's funny how people will start having this conversation with you. Like, what are you going to do now? And how are you ever going to beat that? And she created a book basically that reminds you that that's not what it's about. It's about what you love to do because that's what's going to drive you and keeping it simple. And that alone has helped me to digest things of like, you know, just like the music industry, you're not always going to be that, you know, number one artist. You're going to have seasons and you're going to have those life things that happen. And you have to manage life and you have to manage all the other things that go into your business. But most of my days, if I could have a camera on my shoulder, it would probably make for a great reality show because it's controlled chaos. Yeah. And one of the hardest things about being a salon owner was the overstimulation that I realized, like, you have to be okay with people coming to you for problems. Like I used to be the person like, oh my God, no, I'm scared. I don't know what to do. And now I had to become this person that's like, hey Ash, like I'm the captain. So even if I have a chief stew and I've got deck hands and I've got all these other people, they all have to come back to the captain. And I have to be good for them to always be able to be approaching to me. And I have to be able to be mindful of like my leading by example. And then I have to instill in them a leadership mindset. So I'm not the only one carrying these goals and this mindset. It doesn't work if nobody else is embodying it with me. So I think that it's definitely understated. Like I have my anniversary is coming up. I'm coming up on 10 years married. I have yet to have a damn honeymoon. Like it's that bad. And could I have taken one? Absolutely. But I am very work driven and I've dedicated a lot of time to my goals and to my ventures, things like that. So it definitely, I think self-care, this notion of self-care should be self-discipline. Yeah. That's great self-care.
Yeah, I'm loving this. I want to continue our conversation. I want to have you back and continue to hang out with you because I like the way your mind works. As you were kind of, you know, taking us on this ride, you take the mystery out of innovation. It's, you know, you hear it all the time. How do you or how does she or how does he continue to, you know, reinvent themselves. And it's like, no, no, no. I don't reinvent me. You don't reinvent you. You just suit up, you show up, you do the deal, and somewhere in that process, there's unchanging newness that gets revealed, and people think that's magical. It's like, no, you just
big magic. It is big magic. But you know what it is? It's utilizing your creativity. The more you utilize your creativity and you keep an open mind,
yes,
the more you'll explore it. Like hair marbling. I use shaving cream on a foam mesh and I drop hair color and I make a print and I print it on. I don't know. Like I just saw a video of them doing it with Easter eggs and was like, this could work, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not bound by limits. So for me, I'm gonna see something and I'm like, it's like, oh, I want to try 10 different ways I could do that. And I enjoy it. So for me, a lot of people will ask, but I'm like, I get hair highs. I don't life highs, hair highs, like I love it. I've had to realize in last year when it's like, well, what's next? Like hobbies. Not just being obsessed with hair. You know, it's a great arena to love and passionate about, but certainly we've all got to have our life outside of this.
Absolutely. That's a whole different conversation. We're out of time, and I just thank you very much for coming on. I just it's been a big experience, big evening. People are loving what you're saying, and please come back.
Absolutely, anytime. Yeah, let me know. I'm here.
Yeah, I tell people now we're my newest bestie. I love your energy. I love how you think. I love being on the receiving end of your inspiration because I kind of leapfrog off of it. So thank you again, my friend, and please come back.
I will. Thank you, everyone. Everyone who's tonight. Thank you so much.
Give it up for Miss Dash one more time. Stay well. We'll talk some more. Wow, I mean, just extraordinary, an extraordinary woman, an extraordinary story, and you know the work ethic, the vision. I just continue to see that as you the level of commitment that comes from something like that, the envelope gets pushed, and you just keep you do what you love what you do. It was just off the chart. So I want you to give it up for one more time. Beautiful thing. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, if you're new to us, you're watching Michael Cole Summit, our Thursday night Facebook Live conversation, and we've been I think is our 232nd interview. All of my handles, with the exception of one, are the same. Like if you Facebook Michael Cole Summit, Instagram Michael Cole Summit, YouTube Michael Cole Summit, you will see this content put on those I now call them learning channels. That the places that I hang out online is really become learning channels for people like you that are saying, look, I know that the digital era is upon us, especially now with COVID. I want to not just survive that, I want to thrive in it. It looks like it's the next leap. What's that leap look like? If you're curious about, because I am, it's a 24/7, 365. Hang out with me on those channels. I'm now on TikTok, and it changed things up. I just put Michael Cole next on that as well. Now, what's interesting about the interviews that we do is that they sooner or later they get put on my IGTV channel, and they get curated down to a 5 or 10 minute. Like with this interview tonight was almost 35 minutes. We'll cook that down into 10 minutes, so that it really is the tutorial, the editorial morsels of the conversation. So go to that page on Instagram, and you'll see that my entire IGTV channel is devoted to micro learnings of the interviews that we do. So it's extraordinary, and it's compliments because I'm powered by L'Oreal. Their support of me affords me the opportunity to bring content like this to you as well. I'm also on another .com of SummitSalon365.com. Really is where our production value content goes. So social media courses, guest handling courses. I have a few courses that are on that platform, and there's an annual subscription fee, and that's why they call it 365, is that there's so much content, and it's more turn on off interactions, where Facebook and lives on digital or Zoominars are they're organic, but this has got a bit more intensity in it, more production value. So I would invite you to check that out as well. On summitsalon.com, if you go to their resource page, their landing page, you'll see the content that we use as tools for people behind the chair. How do I plan my day? If I've got openings on my books, how much of that time do I use for social media to fill future openings? And it goes on and on and on. We've got something now called a social digital script guide, and of course something for script and verbiage, how to communicate when clients are in the chair. If you're interested in any kind of coaching that Summit Salon Business Center does, we are moving at the speed of light into now online coaching with all the stuff going on in the world with the pandemic. So if you call our 800 number, you can set up a 30-minute, no-charge virtual conversation, whether that's a Zoominar, whether it's a phone call, whether it's FaceTiming, so that our people can show you what they're doing with helping people online. And it's extraordinary to watch it evolve over the last few months. Also on summits.com, we have mobile calculators for goal setting. We have tracking apps for measuring, your performance. And again, all of that is compliments of L'Oreal PPD. Because of their financial support, we're able to bring that to you. So thank you, L'Oreal. Thank you, Salon Centric, State, and RDA. Last but not least, I always do a shameless plug for, I've got a nonprofit.com called MC Tattoo, because I wear tattoos, and so every show I put something in, some sort of graphic that moves my soul, and I wear it, and then I put it on that.com. And any time people get apparel, all those proceeds go to. I'm a real big advocate in children's literacy. Preschool, kindergarten, first, second grade. If you leave that loose end untied, it can get dicey. Tie it down, and kids can go as far as they want to go. And so that's my foundation. It moves my soul. And so anything that you would get here, proceeds would go there. So, and check us out also on Instagram. So good evening, extraordinary evening. I always end it with expressing gratitude to the brands L'Oreal Professional, and it was interesting. Pulp Riot is where Ash was actually one of the collective of from the very beginning. Before it was a glimmer in someone's eye, and now Pulp Riot is a very big part of the L'Oreal brand family. Baxter, Biolage, Matrix, Mazzani, Essie, Pureology, Kerastase, Redken, Shoe, L'Oreal Professional. These are our brands. When you use these brands, you support our who we're powered by, and that puts them in a position where they can continue to support us. So it's one of those deals that for the good of all and the harm of none. And now L'Oreal has level points that has become the money part. It's like digital money now. The level points, so you have salon owners buying education using their points. So I hope you get involved in that. So again, thanks L'Oreal. Been a great show. Been a long show. I'm going to let you all get some rest for tomorrow. And I love you all. And stay in touch. And next week we'll pick up where we left off. Oh, look at Ash Fortis is on. She's saying grateful for all of you. It was a wonderful, wonderful evening, Ash. Thanks again for hanging out with us. We're going to give it up for you one more time.